Today setting some mosaics on a new pool. Had the homeowner pick spots for their turtles. You see there's 4 turtles. Lay those out, keep them in the cardboard original packaging, trace them, set them to the side so you know which direction they're going. Then fill the traced area in with a brown coat. It's approximately 3/8, ½ inch thick. Float it with a piece of wood, a wood float. Get it flat and smooth so that you're ready to lay the mosaics. Next thing you want to do is, these are from Artistry, these mosaics. They're shrink wrapped, most of them are. You want to cut around the perimeter of the shape of the mosaic and remove the cardboard, but leave the shrink wrap material on the top attached. So that's what I've done with this one. I've cut it away, but this keeps it together. It's easier to work with. Some of the large ones you really need to do it. Smaller ones you don't necessarily, but I found that if you keep it together, you can do alignment much easier. And then you can pull these and peel the plastic off. I'll show you how that goes in a minute. Now it's time to start setting these. The float, what I'm going to be setting this mosaic in that area is wet setting. And you wait for your float to get dry enough. I'm pushing out kind of hard on it, but I can push down a little bit, but my finger doesn't, it's not buried, it's not wet, but it is moist. And this allows me to set it and then press down on the mosaic and get it nice and flat, because this has got a little bit of movement in it. Now I always use a modified thin set, the type that I use for glass, because it's much more expensive, but you just don't get the callbacks. It's super modified, it's flexible. And then I trowel the thin set on, and then it's time to set. Set it in place. Again, I'm pushing down a little bit. There's a little bit of give in the float. And then I leave that set. I'll go to the second one. Just remove the second one from the cardboard. I'm making sure that all the edges, I can feel it squishing in. I'm going to let those sit for a little while. I'm going to work on the other 4 and then come back, and I'm going to trim off all this excess float and thin set so that this is propped up. That allows a good thickness of plaster, makes for a better product and longer lasting for you. Now this is how you trim it. Because the float is still moist, you can still work it with a trowel and just follow the shape. Get rid of the excess. Your plaster will appreciate you doing this too. You don't want to leave that extra float on there. Scrape that all away, pick up that debris, take it with me. Now take a sponge, damp sponge, not wet. Just clean off the top, clean off the edges, round them off. We don't want that drying as a ridge. It could upset the plaster. Remember, I still have that plastic coat on. I'm going to let that dry for a little bit. And again, take it off the plastic. That one's good. Well, you can see both starfish. I've trimmed them, cleaned up the mess. You can also see that from this angle, that they're propped up a little higher. That allows for a good thickness of plaster. Now, once I peel, this is the plastic film. And hard to do with the camera going, but that's basically it right there. That's a nice clean mosaic. Double check. Now, some of these have areas where it needs to be grouted. This particular pool's getting white plaster. The white plaster will fill these. That becomes the grout. If you've got an aggregate type finish, like a pebble finish, you'll probably want to grout these. The pebbles won't be able to get in here. You have to find a complementary color to the plaster finish. You grout those ahead of time. And of course, trim off the excess. And I'll go through it. I've got a little area here I've got to trim back a little bit. But the rest of it looks pretty good. Okay, I've removed the turtle from the paper. Okay, so I've got 2 of them set. Heading to the big ones now. This that's been troweled on, and I've detached this turtle. We've got 4 turtles. This is the alignment that they chose. And in a minute I'm going to trim off all the excess brown coat and thin set around the perimeter of each one of these. And then sponge it off so there's no edges. That's going to mess up the pool plaster. And then I'll peel off the shrink wrap. This is the pad. I've set it back in its original place. I want to see where the placement is of this turtle. So this rectangle, it's going to be over towards this corner here. And that's where I want to apply the thin set. I've spread the thin set and I've detached the mosaic from the cardboard. Again, these, you can see this is pretty interesting how they do it. These are artistry mosaics, and you can tell by the plastic, the shrink wrap, it keeps it together. If I had removed this ahead of time, I'd have a flimsy mess on my hands. And when you get into the 4, 5, 6, 7 foot mosaics, it becomes a nightmare if you remove that plastic too soon. Much easier to keep it on and then pull it off later. Another note, should you buy a mosaic from Little Tile Incorporated, you're not only getting a price that's way below retail and free shipping, but you're also getting technical support, which is what I'm giving you right now. I kind of doubt that the other guys selling mosaics have probably never even set a mosaic, whereas I have, and I'm willing and able and love to share the information with others. Okay, all the trimming's been done on all 4. The excess, what you're seeing, is just a wet area now left over. Everything's propped up for good thickness to allow for the plasters. Everything's trimmed off around the outside and washed off, so there's no edges that will affect the plaster finish. And again, this one is getting grouted with the plaster, so it's just clean it off and that's it. And you can see now the shrink wrap has been removed. The real colors, the true colors of these mosaics really pop once that shrink wrap comes off. And we've got 4 turtles, and up in this step area here we've got 2 starfish. And this pool, this is shallow end, and that's the remainder of the pool. This pool's getting plastered in a couple days, and so this thing's ready to go. Just needs to dry out the rest of today and they're good to go. Remember, you can purchase these mosaics. I carry all the major brands at littletileinc.net. Everything's priced with shipping, and of course you get technical support if you're a do-it-yourselfer, or maybe you're a contractor and you're just not sure, you haven't done a lot of these. I'm here to help you. I'm an email away. Frank at littletileinc.net. Frank at littletileinc.net. Website www.littletileinc.net.